Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another reaction video. Today I'm going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to Season 1, Episode 9 of Dark. So we're almost at the end of the first season, which is pretty exciting. I feel like I have no clue as to how the season's going to wrap up, but I'm excited to see what they have in store for us here. It's been quite the ride so far. Just quickly before I get into this, if you're people on YouTube in particular, I've noticed that there are still some comments on videos that I'm posting regarding the use of the dubbing as opposed to the subtitles. So again, just this has been discussed in previous videos, so you can go back and check that out if you are uncertain what's going on. What I can tell you is that when we get to Season 2, I'll consider changing over. We can talk about it, but for now, I'm sticking with what I've been doing. So, alright. Now, it's been a long day, and I've got a long night of filming ahead of me, and there's cats all over the place. Oh, speaking of, one just walked in front of you. So, I'm gonna just get into the episode without any more chatting. Alright, so, Episode 9. Almost the end of the first season. Here we go.
The entire universe at one single moment, then we might finally find answers to the biggest questions of all. What is man? Where does he come from? What is it that drives him? And what ultimately is his purpose?
I still like that scene with Ulrich and...
Hello.
What kind of work did your husband do?
A pastor. Although I couldn't say he was a man of faith.
Wait.
So, do you miss him?
He wasn't a good person.
Is it Noah?
Sometimes I think it's good that he's dead. And I'm free.
Wait. Is it Noah?
I can't accept this dress. I'd better take it off.
What, if it is... Because if it is him,
pray
then
to God
that would mean that Tronte...
to rid me of that child before it was ever born. And after I had him, I prayed every day that something would happen to him. Because perhaps he's not Baron's offspring.
Huh.
I feel like he's not a being that was born into love. That's what's in my mind. Every day I think that. I can't escape it. And what if they aren't God's hands? What if they're the hands of the devil?
God sent me to you, Greta. Did he not? We really don't meet the people we meet accidentally. When we touch others' lives, we ourselves are touched. And it is thusly that God's hands guide to our true destiny. Let us pray. Yea, though I walk through
Is
the
it
valley
him
of the
though?
shadow
Because
of
if
death,
it is,
I will fear no evil.
that would mean that Tronte and therefore...
You are with me. Your
Ulrich...
rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a
And all of
feast for me
them.
in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my
are
cup
descended
runneth
from
over.
Noah.
Surely
And that
your
would mean even
goodness and
Jonas
mercy
is too,
shall follow
because
me all the
Michael.
days of my life, and I
That
will
would be
dwell in the
insane.
house of the Lord forever.
I mean... I guess it could be another individual, but it just seems like... maybe that's what they're setting it up to be.
You make me so fucking sick.
I mean, let's let's be clear. Katarina was kind of a bitch.
Huh? Where are you going?
Hey, stop it!
Piss off! It's none of your business!
You need to get your hands off her.
And I told you to piss off.
Now apologize to her.
That's her husband! That's
better
how we
start that
wound up
apology
here?
now.
Holy shit!
And how do I know that's real?
So how does Helga end up doing this with Noah?
Why doesn't this thing work?
It will. Patience. Do you think Einstein would have given up on this?
If it
It's
was
the fate of
repeatedly killing
pioneers
children?
like us to persistently pursue their aim, to believe when no one else believes in our dream.
I won't do this anymore.
So did they wind up working together
Why
because
would God want to do any of this?
he had the connection with Helga's mother?
Yes. Why would God want to do any of this? Looking into hell as you have can't be forgotten. You feel quite lost. A part of you lives in hell. And the idea of God, of Jesus, the Savior, becomes the thread of hope you've learned to cling to. All of us who know the darkness long for the light of hope, but there is no God. God didn't make this hole among us. God doesn't have a plan. You see, no plan has ever really existed. There's nothing but chaos. Pain and chaos.
Alright, so he doesn't believe. So he's Trante's father, right? Like that's 100% him. Because that's what she said.
People are bad, malicious.
That he didn't actually believe.
Life is nothing but a huge spiral of pain. And the world is doomed to be destroyed. But this here, this is our ark. And I am Noah. If we can harness this energy, we can change everything.
That's
Then
why
we
you're calling
decide the
yourself
world's
Noah?
fate removed from all evil. And all the pain. We'll create a time machine that will resort everything anew, the beginning and the end.
What? So his whole quest here is entirely based on a disturbed form of nihilism.
I never wanted any of it. But he just wouldn't let up. You know how he can be. He wanted to leave you.
Oh my god, why?
I told him that was nuts.
Why be
Crazy.
cruel?
He said he didn't love you anymore. He said he loves me. But I want you to know, Katarina, it's over now.
This is so
It's
fucked
done.
up. Is she doing this just because she hopes that'll make her want to leave Ulrich and then Ulrich will somehow come back to her? Because that's not going to happen.
You must be Bartosz. I'm Claudia, your grandmother. Is your mother home?
My mother always said my grandmother died before I was born.
I'm quite sure there have been lots of wild stories your mom told you.
They've been disconnected
But only
this
some
long?
of them are true. This looks a lot different than years ago. They've added on a lot.
Why did my mom tell me that you were dead?
I'm sure for your mom I am dead. I wasn't exactly a decent mother, I mean.
Wait, is she about to show that?
Do you recognize that bag? All these years I wondered why in the world I kept it. But there's a reason for all things. Don't worry. Its contents are safely protected.
What do you want?
Why is it some people have everything and some of us have nothing? Hmm? Why do you and Regina have a beautiful home and I can barely even pay my electric bill? Why does fate choose to give such a good life to some and an empty life to others?
You want money?
No, not money. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to destroy Ulrich. I want him to lose everything. Got it?
What do you have in mind? Just how should I do that?
I don't care how you do it or who you pay off. Just have him destroyed.
Holy shit!
You were right. Every single thing that you've predicted has happened.
So have you thought about my offer?
Oh god. Alright. Well, that was episode 9, and it was another crazy episode, full of unexpected things that I did not see coming in any way, shape, or form. Alright, so starting with the stuff that I did see coming. Alright, so back in the 50s, Ulrich has now been arrested for what he did to Helge, and because Egon believes that he is the person that killed the 2 children whose bodies they found there, even though, I mean, he's clearly not, but he was trying to kill Helga, believing that if he did that, that it would stop everything else from happening in this cycle. And as I suspected, he was not able to kill Helga. Instead, it actually turned out that he just severely injured him, and that injury is what is going to lead Helga to be kind of the way that he is. So that plays into the idea that was like largely debated in the last episode and that I was talking about a lot in the last video, over, you know, is time something that can be changed with time travel? Or past events, can they actually be changed and impacted? Or is this some sort of cycle where everything that has happened, you know, was meant to happen, has always happened? So in this cycle, Ulrich has always been the one that harmed Helge, and set these things in motion, even though he's from the future. And in this, Mikkel always went back in time and is Jonas's father, basically. So that seems to suggest that that is the case, and that maybe events cannot be changed, that everything that happened has always happened and always will happen. So that's interesting. But I'm not totally surprised. I would have been much more surprised if it turned out that Helga was dead, especially because that would have just erased a number of characters in the more contemporary timelines from existence altogether. So then we see a bunch of other things happening. First of all, more indication of Hannah not just being pretty crazy, but also quite cruel. The way that she was going with Katerina and everything that she was saying there. You know, at first my suspicion was, alright, so she's just hoping that maybe since she couldn't, like, push Ulrich into actually leaving Katerina, and after everything that's happened, you know, maybe she can push Katerina into getting Ulrich out of her life altogether, and then maybe he'll come crawling back to me. That's what I was thinking maybe was happening. But then we see what happens at the end there with Alexander, and she's saying, I want you to just destroy Ulrich completely. Just destroy his life entirely. Take everything from him. So I guess she was just saying that shit to Katerina because she wanted some sort of revenge on Ulrich. And she doesn't care if Katerina and her kids get hurt in the process. She just needs to have her vengeance. And it's pretty crazy that she kept that passport for all those years, just in case at some point in time it could be useful to her, and now here it is, so she can blackmail Alexander with it. That's nuts. it was crazy to me to find out more stuff about Alexander's background and how he fits into the whole story overall. You know, how he met Regina, how he met Claudia, how he found out some information from Claudia, how he winds up being the person taking over the power plant after Claudia. We don't know what happened to her. I guess she just disappears at some point in time. Maybe she was traveling literally through time when she was gone. But now she reappears here and tries to make contact with Regina and just ends up making contact with Bartosz. Speaking of Bartosz, he's decided to work for Noah and make some kind of deal with him because we now find out in that last conversation where we didn't ever really know what they talked about, that Noah made a bunch of predictions of things that would happen, and lo and behold, they turned out to have happened, so now Bartosz believes him in whatever he else claimed was happening, and now he's gonna work for him, it seems, so that's interesting. And so then for me, kind of the big thing in this whole cycle of this episode, a lot of it really revolves around Noah. We get more of him and what he's doing and what his plans seem to be. So he wants to build a time machine so he can go back in time, I guess, or in different directions in time. He wants to be able to travel through time so he can change things. That's what he's saying that was what he was saying to Helga when he had Helga working for him. And he was saying that he was Noah as in the biblical Noah, and he was trying to, you know, save some remnant of humanity because he has this really cynical, nihilistic viewpoint of what human life and what humanity actually is at this point. So that's why he's experimenting on these children, which he's trying to justify to Helga, saying, oh, well, what would Einstein do or say? And I don't think Einstein would have just, you know, murdered children if that's what his experiments entailed, but okay. But, so I'm guessing his name isn't really Noah. He's putting himself forward in some sort of biblical sense. So, I mean, the whole arc idea is he, like, gathering together specific individuals that he thinks can be useful. What exactly is his plan? And now in the contemporary timeline, Bartosz is the person that he feels can be the most useful. Is this because of Bartosz's links to Claudia? Is that what it is? And to him? Because that was the other thing that, you know, I was uncertain about Noah from this episode was, is he actually Tronte's father? That seemed to be, in my opinion, implied, which would suggest that Noah is the grandfather of Ulrich, so the great-grandfather of Mikkel, so the great-great-grandfather of Jonas. So they would all be connected in this big, long family line. And then also he has a weird connection to the Dopplers, to Helga, because he seemed to have some sort of friendship with Helga's mother, which is, I assume, how he and Helga ended up working together. But so basically, he has connections with, like, all of the prominent, like, people in town in some way, shape, or form. It's very odd. It's very odd to me. I don't know. But, I mean, they're putting all these pieces together again, but also leaving us in a position where there's even more questions, and I'm very curious to find out what's going to happen next. I still don't know what the purpose was of the guy who we've repeatedly seen, and who we saw near the end here going into the giant truck full of the nuclear waste and opening up one of the barrels for whatever purposes. What his goal was in trying to bring Jonas into all of this. We see it's obviously having a seriously negative impact on Jonas in terms of his personal life. But he's obviously supposed to play more of a role, and maybe that's because of the link to Noah, but we will find that out in the future in some way. I don't know. I'm very curious to find out what in the world is going on. And why is it that Noah and Helga were doing these experiments on these kids, for the purposes of trying to build a time machine, when we see that an actual time machine comes into existence at a different point, are these like competing organizations of time travelers, like competing groups with different interests? What is the deal? So yeah, so as you can see, I have a lot more questions after this episode. I just really need to know what's going on, but the season's almost over, so I expect big things coming soon. Yeah. Alright, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. If you have questions or comments, do feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, I'll just say thank you very much for joining me this evening. Hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.